One Mediator Media. China, Davos, what is going on in the world? So China has a lot of plans that we're trying to figure out. What are these plans?
The right approach is to act on the vision of a community with a shared future for mankind. We should uphold the common values of humanity: peace, development, equity, justice, democracy, and freedom. Rise above ideological prejudice and jointly safeguard world peace and stability.
According to Axios, Xi Jinping warns against new Cold War in Davos speech. As part of Davos, Xi Jinping showed up, gave a speech, talked about all these things, and China has their own plan. Now, does that include the United States? Does it include you and me? Let's find out. Axios reports that Xi stated, so part of Xi's plan is in favor of peaceful coexistence. That sounds great. The reduction of global inequality and the strengthening of global institutions on issues like public health and climate change. So it all sounds great, but what is it? So one of the key words is inequality. They're looking at bringing inequality, but they're also looking at making everything equitable. Well, how do you make things equitable? You bring things to an equal playing field. How do you do that? Well, you take from here and you give to here. It's socialism worldwide. They're essentially wanting to make everything into a communist system. We have Xi Jinping coming from China, trying to bring that system as part of collaborative to, I don't want to say indoctrinate, but to essentially indoctrinate the whole world. Does that mean that we're all going to be under Chinese rule? That's not what I'm saying, but it's interesting what we're going to cover when it comes to China. Let's look. So throughout the speech, Axios reported, Xi reportedly returned to the importance of international cooperation on nearly every issue, except those like human rights that he deems internal affairs. So if it has to do with human rights, then we don't talk about those things. That has nothing to do with it. And that's where it's internal affairs. Xi Jinping says, let's talk about all this other stuff, but when it comes to human rights, that's our business, not yours. So very selective in terms of what we apply, right? So we're going to apply a collective approach, a socialist approach to the entire world. Through that process, we won't pay much attention to the human rights and ownership of property and all these other issues that I would say Americans enjoy. So what's at stake for China? They got big plans, huge plans.
It's a huge problem. The huge problem. That is a huge problem.
So right now they're becoming a major superpower. Right now they're looking at expanding not only how they contribute to society, but they're looking at expanding their trade. Let's take a look at that. We'll be looking at that in a little bit, but what else are they expanding in? Let's see. On May 27, 2019, NPR reported American soil is increasingly foreign owned. So more foreign countries are now owning property in the United States. Let's see what it says. Ty Higgins, who is part of Ohio's Farm Bureau, says, once a foreign entity buys up however many acres they want, Americans might never be able to secure that land again. So once we lose it, we may lose it for good. In other words, once these countries take over it, we may never see it as American soil again. We may become part of China.
In 2016, Chinese investment into the U.S. hit a high. The next year, though, it declined significantly, reversing the trend. Just take a look at the China Investment Monitor, which tracks Chinese direct investment into the United States. The figures have generally been on an upward trend since the tracker was launched in 2000, peaking at nearly $46 billion in 2016. Then, investments dropped off. Their holdings are priced in the yuan, and a drop in the yuan against other currencies would mean the value of their assets goes down. So mainland companies started buying up assets in other countries like the US. It was their way of diversifying their portfolios, hedging their bets against a downturn at home. But all of that money moving from Chinese bank accounts into foreign real estate and companies made Beijing anxious. The government was worried all of that capital abroad would do what Chinese businesses were concerned about in the first place: drain value from the domestic economy and depress the local currency. So through various means, the Chinese government clamped down on money leaving the country. That's what's called capital controls.
So China's looking to bring back this old trade route, the ancient trade route that they used to have, the old Silk Road. But for what purpose? Why now? What's going on? World Economic Forum says the aim of the $900 billion scheme, as China explained recently, is to kindle a new era of globalization, a golden age of commerce that will benefit all. Yeah, I think we heard that before.
World domination.
Gee, Brian, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
No, but in all seriousness, this is getting real. It continues saying, but reviews from the rest of the world have been mixed, with several countries expressing suspicion about China's true geopolitical intentions. So this trade route is looking to go through from China all the way through Europe. The whole conglomerate of continents there. They're looking at expanding all this? And we have to ask, right? Whenever certain countries have put certain bases, places, and areas of commerce, it's a big red flag. And we're looking, I believe the date is 2048 when they're looking at finishing this. So we have to ask ourselves, what is the plan here? What are you guys doing? That $900 billion expense, from my understanding and from what I've seen from other reports, that's coming from debts that are coming from the US. In other words, we're paying for a lot of that. They're actually going to pay for this project through things that we are in debt for. Gotta keep an eye out for this. So as I look at this, I ask myself, can anybody own property in China? Well, according to this, it says individuals cannot privately own land in China, but may obtain transferable land use rights for a number of years for a fee. That tells me we're looking at a program like this coming to a place near you real soon. So we ask, can this happen here? What do you think? So there's something called eminent domain here in the United States, and it says under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, it says at the very last portion of it, it says, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. Although this is not new, this has been around for a while, it's something that we really have to keep close eye in, because essentially we have private property here. We do have a way in which the government can take it from you if they pay you the just amount of what it's worth for the current market value. The only issue is if we're looking at going from now what Davos wants, what Time 2030 wants, the Agenda 2030 according to the United Nations, all this plan is looking at removing private property, which is why we started with Xi Jinping in the beginning. And now we're looking at this because ultimately that's what we're looking at. We're looking at a globalized socialist system coming to a city near you. Then all is fun. We can't forget about our buddy Bill Gates. Let's see what he's up to. Published January 16th, 2021. MarketWatch states, Bill Gates is now the largest farmland owner in America. Why is the dude who made the computer, made vaccines, or at least contributed a huge portion to vaccines, now buying all the land in America? It says the Gates portfolio comprises about 242,000 acres of farmland and nearly 27,000 acres of other land across 19 states. So Bill Gates owns a huge chunk of farmland. What's he going to do with that? I don't know. Some people say he's tied to Monsanto. According to the Seattle Times, back in August 28th of 2010, it says Gates Foundation ties with Monsanto under fire from activists. So Bill Gates has funded a good part. He owns many shares in Monsanto. Monsanto creates genetically modified foods. Genetically modified foods are part of the new agenda to lower our meat consumption and have a more vegetarian approach, which is not a bad thing, but at the same time, depending on who will be providing that food, do we want it to be Monsanto, Bill Gates? Just go back to making computers, man. Come on, man. So that concludes our segment for today for One Mediator Media. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the button below, share it, put it out there. I'm going to start probably another channel on Rumble because YouTube is just ridiculous and other places. So keep an eye out for that. Let you guys know. But just keep an eye out. Why do we put this information out? It's really important right now because things are changing really fast. We're losing not only rights, we're losing land, things are changing all over the world. And if we just kind of fall asleep, it's going to happen before your eyes. It's going to happen very soon. It's looking to happen by 2030. So less than 10 years, they're looking at having this new plan established. Right now, with the coronavirus, they've said that this is a prime time and we cannot let this opportunity go by without making these changes. So put it out there, and put it out there. Again, like, subscribe, hit the button, and I'll see you guys later.